Hey guys, good afternoon. And I am doing episode 42 of the At the Coffee Table podcast, streaming this live on Facebook, YouTube, and even Instagram today. I decided to kick on Instagram and do an Instagram live because I think this topic is that important. And it's just me today. It's going to be a short one. But after a lot of the conversations I've had throughout my podcast the last 2 weeks, throughout my conversations with friends and colleagues and partners. It's that time of year. And I titled this podcast, Are You Ready? So are you ready for the upcoming year? And we've talked about how 2020 has really been an anomaly, to use the term loosely, for this year. Who would have thought in January 2020, we'd be dealing with a pandemic, we'd be dealing with a financial outfall of lockdowns from a pandemic, government shutdowns, social unrest, presidential election that is yet to be over. But realistically, looking at how the business world has gone, now, not to short sight, businesses that have gone out of business, people that have lost their business because it's been truly tragic. But I think that the shining light in all of this is the fact that in the business world with entrepreneurs, there's no real boundaries. There's no boundaries, no state boundaries, no national boundaries. You can, if you don't have a storefront and you're doing a lot of your marketing, branding, and selling online, that you really have no boundaries and you can expand your business from well beyond your geographic location. Now, some of the content that I've been consuming here recently has got me really creative and fired up and looking forward to 2021, whatever that might be. And it could be the same results as 2020 in the same situation, at least for the first couple of quarters. But it doesn't mean we don't prepare, because one of the things I've learned over the last few years is what we do now is going to prepare us for 3 to 4 months from now. It's going to pay dividends then. So what we do now, and as hard as we work right now, will separate us from the pack, so to say, of those that start to take it easy going into the Christmas holiday. Now, it's definitely a goal planning time of year, and choosing what goals you're going to achieve in the coming year is ultimately important for your success going into the upcoming year. New Year's resolutions are ridiculous. New Year's resolutions, when it comes to health and fitness, are very subjective, and they can be influenced and changed and even forgotten about. How many times? And I can remember, being an avid member of a gym like Planet Fitness or Aspen, and you go into workout the first week of January and the place is packed. Does it all day long? The place is packed. And then you go back and you, as time goes on and you get to the middle of February, the beginning of March, there's 50% less people there because they've already just done away with the New Year's resolution to improve on their health. If you set a goal that is weighted, that can be measured, and has a time frame on it, it's a little more difficult to just let it go by the wayside. And if you're a goal-oriented person, it's really difficult not to achieve that when you say that I'm going to do, I'm going to improve my health, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, and I'm going to eat healthy within the first 3 months of the new year, and it's going to be done, and I'm going to achieve this by, March 30th. That gives you an end date. It gives you something to strive for. It gives you a goal to get to. And that I have found has been, super motivating when it comes to doing those kind of goal settings. But, a lot of my colleagues and now clients and coaching clients, we talk about the goal planning and knowing your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers within, business, you're really doing yourself disservice. And are you putting yourself in the best financial and economical point prior to going into the new year, and knowing what your finances are, and knowing your numbers, and knowing the goals that you have to hit when it comes to your finances. I've talked to a couple of colleagues and, said, what are your numbers? Where are you at in the real estate world, where are you at for your GCI this year? And where do you want to be next year? And when you hear, I don't know. And I used to be like that when I first started. I had no idea about business. And I've said this before, knew nothing about business, knew nothing about running a business, and didn't realize that, keeping track of your finances was actually important. So that held me back, and that was a negative. So talking to other colleagues and stuff, and you ask me, what are your numbers? And they're, I don't know. I've never really looked at it. That's concerning. Taking all of this information and really getting fired up about who you are. I have already set my goals. I start working on them in October. I start thinking about them. November, I think, start putting pen to paper. And then by now I have them set for what do I want to achieve. And one of the goals I wanted to achieve is to get into more coaching, mentoring, or training. Because after teaching a class for my real estate colleagues at the brokerage, I quickly remembered how much I enjoyed being in a classroom setting like that, or a training session like I used to be in the fire service. So that was one of my goals. And luckily I've achieved that, so to say, because I've gotten picked up by a real estate coaching company to do real estate coaching. But I don't want it to end there. I wanted to branch out to help others that have come out of one industry to go into another like I did. I came out of public safety to go into real estate, to take a business job, to create my own business, and had to do a lot of learning along the way. And it's all about educating yourself, absorbing as much information as you can, having a mentor. If you can have a mentor or a coach or both, that's super important. When I started out in real estate, I was lucky enough to have a very experienced and good mentor. This year, I had the experience of working with my first coach, which was super enlightening and super beneficial to me. So I wanted to share some of these experiences because I want to share my purpose of doing this podcast. It's been always about service-based, and it's about promoting others and helping others and providing information, and hopefully providing a little bit of value for everyone. And the upside for me is I get some marketing and branding out of it, and you get to listen to these kind of rambles every now and again. But I also get the opportunity to do these podcasts with some really great guests and some industry leaders, no matter what the industry is. I've had public safety on, I've had business people on, and I even just had a makeup artist on. I've had musicians. I have been fortunate enough to have that, and that was a goal for this year, was to get this podcast up and running. Now, mind you, if it wasn't for the amount of downtime we had during the shutdown or the pandemic, I don't know if I would have got this started. That was really the catalyst for getting this podcast going. So where do we go from here? If you haven't started making your goals and your plans for 2021, now is the time to do it. But don't think about it for weeks. Don't dwell on it for weeks. Put pen to paper, get it in writing, give them end dates, give them weights and measures to them. Otherwise, it won't mean a thing. And, throw it out to the world. Tell the whole world. Tell your spouse, tell your significant other, tell your family. Get online and do a live and tell everyone, because there's a sense of accountability there. When you do that, there's a sense of accountability, and now you've put it out to the world, and everybody's expecting to see that. So that is super, super important when it comes to this planning and goal planning for next year. If you think about it too much, and I'm just as guilty. You think and you think and you think and you plan and contingency plan, and you never do it. You never do it. I think about former colleagues of mine that have talked about making a change and not wanting to work in that industry for 30 or 40 years just to collect a pension and hope you don't die when you finally retire. It's 55, 60, or 62 years old, and be able to enjoy that pension that you're going to get. At some point, if you're not enjoying what you're doing and it's just work, and it's almost unbearable to do, it's time to make that change. And I tell you what, jumping off that cliff without a parachute like I did over a year ago was probably one of the best things I ever did. and it's been the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I'm super happy that things have turned out the way they are, but it has not gone for lack of planning. So, my goals I have my financial goals for my real estate. I want to help 21 families in 2021, buy or sell a new home. That's my goal in real estate. I want to work with 20 or 21 clients outside, either within the consulting industry and helping their organization do better and providing leadership strategies. And along the same lines, do some coaching, mentoring, training, and even some personal development, because I think that's super important when you're trying to run a business, an organization, a team. All of that plays in a factor, and having that third party kind of come in to be able to give you that insight. And I think I have a lot to draw from. I spent 20 plus years in the fire service learning how to be a leader. And that's where my leadership skill, and I had the privilege and the opportunity to work under some fantastic leaders. I worked with some fantastic firefighters, and I drew from each and every one of them. And that's where I base everything that I do from them. And I keep my service-based orientation going into real estate business and my other businesses and my work life, in order to provide the best value that I can. So, quick and easy podcast for this afternoon. Something I just wanted to talk about. I wanted to put my goals out to the world for accountability, and just share my thoughts with you, my insight with you. If you are kind of spinning your wheels going towards 2021, now is the time. Because you know what? No matter what happens in Washington, it plays a very little effect on you personally if you're trying to succeed at something. So don't let that distract you. Pandemic's very distracting. We all want to stay healthy. We all want to stay safe. And there's no making light of that. But a lot of what you can do safely and effectively, depending on your course and your path. If there's anything at all I can ever do for you, don't hesitate to drop a comment, send me a DM, send me a text, send me an email. It doesn't matter. If you got any value out of this, please like it, share it. And because those are my rewards for providing this and my service-based businesses to you. With that, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Have a great rest of your day.